Hey everybody, it's Eric with Bug Proletariat 40K. I really appreciate everybody reaching out and reading the articles I put up on Frontline Gaming. The one I posted about how I think Pauper Princes is the best cult creed really received some good feedback from people, both saying they love Pauper Princes and saying they love, the custom cults or Twisted Helix better on the Facebook page. And that's awesome. I love that. I'm just pumped that we can have there's discussions about what creed is better as opposed to our old codex, which was, pretty garbage, but it's nice to have some options. I know I saw some players are taking like Hive Cult to an RTT this weekend over on the Facebook page. I'm really interested to see what that does. I just think doing all those actions for free is really strong. I just don't know if it'll have enough resiliency as well as, that close combat buff that like Twisted Helix or Pauper Princes gives. So again, thanks for reading those articles, and keep the comments coming. And if you guys want to see anything specific up on Frontline Gaming's website as far as my Genestealer Cult articles, feel free to reach out to me anytime I post on here. Definitely in the comments of this or in the comments of YouTube, and I'll write up whatever I can if you think it'll be helpful for you guys. So this week, as you can see, we're going to go over what I think is like the best support character in our codex in the Nexos. I've heard some people, like the talking heads on the internet, say that the Nexos isn't really worth it, which I just thought was crazy. And these players are generally better than me. They perform better than me for sure. Every time I build a list, it starts with a Nexos going in there who's going to push out my buffs to other units on the table. So just for 50 points right off the bat in the Nexos, you're getting the Battlefield Analysis ability. So in your command phase, you can pick any unit on the table to just get a free crossfire marker. And this is amazing because, there's ways to get crossfire markers on units that you can shoot, like through hand flamers or just, a lot of autogun shots or even some seismic cannon shots to get one automatically. This is a guaranteed crossfire marker on a unit that you couldn't shoot, say a character, somebody who is bodyguarded, something like that, somebody that's out of line of sight even. And just all the ways that we can utilize the crossfire markers in this codex, which we'll go over later, as you can see, a couple of the stratagems that make this really important. This ability, if you just had this for the 50 points, I would still take one in almost every list. So his next one is huge in the list that I play in Pauper Princes because I take a Primus. I know not everybody's taking a Primus if they're going, if you're taking a bunch of Aberrants and Bladed Cog, it's not really worth it because they're not core. Because your Primus is really only buffing your core units, or if you're going down a different path of where you don't have a lot of acolytes or neophytes somehow, some way. But the strategic coordination with sitting next to a Primus, pushing out that reroll ones aura, and for one unit to get the reroll ones to wound on core units is so strong to be able to put that out anywhere on the table in the command phase, so you don't have to ball up in one little area. I find our army is extremely fragile. I'm sure all of you already know that. But the ability to not concentrate all of your forces... Oh man, my codex is about to fall off my desk over here. Okay, got it. Crisis averted. To not ball up all your forces and your buffing characters in one area is huge. Because if you put it all in one spot, it's just that much easier for your opponent to apply pressure to it and hit your main force, and they could cripple the rest of your game and you won't have a way to respond. With the Nexos being able to push out buffs like the reroll ones to hit and wound from the Primus, you can have units already on the table, at your other home objective far away or hiding in terrain somewhere up in the mid table, and they can still get those small buffs that are just going to push through their melee power or even their shooting power if you have some neophytes who are coming down with mining lasers or seismic cannons. The next big thing, I wrote about this a lot in my article. I'm sure you guys will hear me talk about the relic of Saint Tendark a lot. I think it's the best relic in the codex. Giving a 5-up invulnerable save to like t-shirt save models that we have just swings the math so much in so much shooting. Because while we have strats to not target the closest and get extra cover save, those can be hard to set up. The extra cover save obviously not hard to set up, but there's stuff in the meta right now that takes away cover, like Tau SMS. So just always knowing you're going to have a 5+ save, and you have a 33% chance to live on any shot. I don't care if it's a 12 damage hammerhead shot. I roll a 5 up, you're not killing whatever core unit you just shot at. Now the big thing to remember with the Nexos sending out Primus buffs like this is the units have to be on the table in the command phase, because this happens. You pick the Nexos to choose 2 units already on the table in the command phase to receive aura buffs from that character next to the Nexos. So if they're already coming down, or if they're not on the table and they're coming down from reserve, they're not going to have the chance to get these buffs. I find it's pretty easy though, especially with the tables we play on with terrain, to hide a unit of acolytes or a unit of metamorphs behind some obscuring terrain. You know, up the board, far away, outside your opponent's threat range, get these buffs, and then they can pounce. You know, advancing and charging with Psychic Stimulus or the 1 CP strat to already be on the table set up to receive the 5++, and then reroll 1s to hit and wound from the Nexos and give them for the Primus buffs. The relic I take every single time on the Nexos is a Cranial Inlay. It's just so good. With the 5-up CP farming, it's going to pay for itself in the game, even if you don't get any extra back, which I've definitely had games where I've rolled no 5-ups for it, but that's not the average. But you also get the more important thing of you pick 2 units on the table. I think actually this whole video I've said that the Nexos can target 2 units with his ability Strategic Coordination, but it's actually just 1. I've just never taken it without the Cranial Inlay relic. So this lets him use Strategic Coordination twice. So you can push out 2 5++ relic saves, invuln saves from the relic, or you can push out, you know, the 2 reroll 1s. It's still 1, as far as the way I'm reading it, 1 reroll wounds a 1 roll, because the Primus can only select 1 unit to do that. But if you guys have a different take on that and can explain why I can do it twice, because it's kind of confusing when the Nexo says you can do it twice and the Primus says the reroll 1 aura or target ability can only be done once. So definitely let me know in the comments if you can figure out a way to let me do that twice. The next part we're going to go over is the covering fire and coordinated assault stratagems with the Nexos ability. I kind of talked about in the beginning of the video of how putting a crossfire marker down anywhere is just so amazing. So start off with covering fire. This will let you put a crossfire marker. The Nexos ability will let you put a crossfire marker on a character, and then using covering fire on them, they can't heroically intervene. And this has come up in a few of my games, and it's huge into the Custodes meta, where they can just spend a CP for anything to heroically intervene, or 1 CP for their characters to do 6. I find 6 instant heroic intervention, like, if they're a decent player, they're setting up Trajan or their, you know, Alaris captain or Bite captain to be just behind their lines, and 6 inches will definitely get them around to be in close combat. So just having that strategy in your pocket of, I know that I'm going to put a crossfire marker on Trajan, he's not heroically intervening this turn for 1 CP, that can really put you know, a chink in your opponent's plans. And then as far as coordinated assault, it's a great way to put fights last on someone. We have Mass Hypnosis, but sometimes your Patriarchs or your Magus just aren't close to cast that power. And you don't have a way to get a crossfire token on someone to give them the fights last. Maybe they're behind obscuring terrain, you know, maybe you just have lost your shooting, maybe your shooting's got to go somewhere else that's more pressing. So it's really great to just be able to throw the crossfire marker down from the Nexos and just know that that unit's fighting last, it can't interrupt, so I can charge 2 things this turn. So those are kind of my thoughts on the Nexos. He can also buff or send out the buffs from a Clamavus, but you'll never do that. I think the Clamavus isn't useless. Maybe I'll talk about him in another video. Just you'll never use it to throw out the buffs as opposed to the debuffs of taking away the OBSEC is how I think the Clamavus should be used. Alright, thanks for listening to my coverage on why I think the Nexos should be in basically every single list. He's my favorite support character, like I said. I just think his utility is so high and has so much synergy against some of the top performers in the meta right now. So going forward on the channel, I'm going to try and do some battle reports. I just got a camera in and we're just trying to figure out how we're going to film it and I don't like the 3-hour long battle reports. Like, it's cool to sit there and paint if you have 3 hours to sit and paint, but a lot of people don't have 3 hours to sit and just pay attention to a battle report. So we're really looking to make, something that's like 30 minutes long, clips of the turn, and really just looking at the highlight points of what's happening, what I did as a Genestealer Cult player, what I could have done better, what my opponent did to counter some of the things that my Genestealer Cult army did. It's really good from the perspective of my play group. They've played Genestealer Cult so much because I played it for so long. They kind of know all the tricks and they know how to play against it perfectly in some matchups. So, I think it'll be good for people out there to see experienced opponents who know what Genestealer Cult do play against them, and an experienced-ish Genestealer Cult player running some of the different cult creeds. I'll definitely start out with Pauper Princes, just because that's what I'm playing for tournaments in the future, and I need my practice because I'm not the greatest player in the world. I don't live in a 40K trap house and play 18 games a week or whatever, so I generally play 1 game a week as quote-unquote practice for fun with my friends, and then I'll try and go to 1 tournament a month, and it's hard to keep that competitive edge with just playing that little bit, but it's more than most people play, I'm sure, so I'm lucky. So the next few tournaments I have coming up, none in March, unfortunately, just my schedule is too busy. I'm actually playing an Age of Sigmar tournament that my buddy is trying to get Age of Sigmar off the ground in our local meta, and I told him I would go, assuming there wouldn't be a lot of people there, and he has 11 people on the wait list, but I already committed, so I'll be there with my Cruel Boys. Way more simple to play than Genestealer Cult. Then in April, there's actually the battle to end Alzheimer's at Tables and Towers in Westminster, Maryland. That's going to be a full charity event. All the proceeds are going to Alzheimer's charity. I'll put a link down in the description to the donations page, and also if you can come to the event, that would be awesome. I believe they're trying to make it a major at Tables and Towers in Westminster, Maryland. So if you're anywhere in the area, check out the pictures of the store on Facebook. Check out some of my pictures you can see here. This is one of the tables from a past tournament. I believe they're doing player price terrain, just like FLG does, but with these buildings that you see in the picture. There's gonna be prizes. You can throw pies in people's faces. It's gonna be a great time in the best gaming store that I've ever been to. So I highly recommend if you're anywhere in the area and you want to get a large event under your belt for this ITC season, definitely look at down the link. Look at the link down in the comments and see if you can make it. My next event after that's going to be the Maryland Open, which a really good guy, Don, has put on in the past. COVID kind of messed it up, unfortunately, and then he got a major event right coming out of COVID afterwards when things calmed down, which was awesome, at, again, Tables and Towers in Westminster. So this time I think he's trying to go over like 200 people. It's going to be a 3-day event on May 13th, 14th, and 15th, I believe. Let me look at my calendar real quick so I'm not saying the wrong dates. Yeah, 13th, 14th, and 15th. It would be awesome if we get a 200-person event at that store and for Don, because he works so hard in the community. I'll definitely be there for that, playing and trying to get a good major score with the GSC. So if you guys have any questions, comments, want to sign up for the events, look down in the description below and leave a comment below. And feel free to like and subscribe to the videos so you can know when they are coming out next. I'm going to try to do like 1 a week, and eventually we'll get a battle report in there. Hopefully it's useful for you guys. Thanks for listening, and thanks for reading the articles over on Frontline Gaming, and good luck on your games with the GSC.